Sabbath School Lesson. Fear in and obeying God. What else does the Bible teach us about what it means to fear God? Deuteronomy chapter 6 verse 2. That you may fear the Lord, your God, to keep all his statutes and his commandments, which I command you, you, and your son, and your grandson, all the days of your life, and that your days may be prolonged. Psalm chapter 119 verses 73 and 74. Your hands have made me and fashioned me. Give me understanding, that I may learn your commandments. Those who fear you will be glad when they see me, because I have hoped in your word. And Ecclesiastes chapter 12 verses 13 and 14. Let us hear the conclusion of the whole matter. Fear God and keep his commandments, for this is man's all. For God will bring every work into judgment, including every secret thing, whether good or evil. What do these texts reveal as the result of fearing God? These passages reveal a linkage between fearing God and keeping his commandments. Fearing God is an attitude of reverential respect that leads us to obedience. Heaven's urgent appeal is for those saved by grace to be obedient to God's commands. Ephesians chapter 2 verses 8 to 10. Grace does not free us from obeying the commands of God. The gospel sets us free from the law's condemnation, not from our responsibility to obey it. Grace not only delivers us from the guilt of our past, but it empowers us to live godly, obedient lives in the present. The Apostle Paul declares that we have received grace and apostleship for obedience to the faith among all nations. Romans chapter 1 verse 5. There are some people who have the strange idea that salvation by grace somehow negates the law of God, or minimizes the necessity for obedience. They believe that any talk about obedience is legalism. They have declared, "All I want is Jesus." The question is, which Jesus? A Jesus of our own making, or the Jesus of Scripture? The Christ of Scripture never leads us to downplay his law, which is the transcript of his character. The Christ of Scripture never leads us to minimize the doctrines of the Bible, which reveal more clearly who he is, and his plan for this world. The Christ of Scripture never leads us to reduce his teaching to pious platitudes that are non-essential. Christ is the embodiment of all doctrinal truth. Jesus is truth incarnated. He is doctrine lived out. Revelation's final appeal calls us through faith in Jesus to accept the fullness of everything he offers. It calls us to fear God, which is expressed by faith in his redeeming power to empower us to live godly, obedient lives. Matthew chapter 10 verse 28. And do not fear those who kill the body, but cannot kill the soul. But rather fear him who is able to destroy both soul and body in hell. How do Jesus' words here help us understand what it means to fear God? Fear God and give glory to him.